Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. The welcome back is for me. Okay, it's not you, it's me. And I thank you so much for clicking on this video and spending some time with me. We're doing a reading vlog that I've just wrapped up. So I know it's coming out and I had a really good time. I take you along with me book shopping where I found Key Lime Sky, a book that was not on my radar and I picked up on a whim, and I'm very happy that I got to it during Pride Month. I also got into Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which was a highly anticipated release for me, so I get into all of my thoughts on this. And I read Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. That came out on the 10th as well, I believe, so it was like a double new release feature up in here, as well as just maybe trying to stay on the alien theme with Kimberly Lemming. I'm gonna read it out because her titles are notoriously long, cheeky, and I love it. I got abducted by aliens and now I'm trapped in a rom-com. This definitely did bring the humor. I'm not finished with it though, so we'll get into that. But thank you for joining me. I'm going to boot you back to the past and we'll be back here in the end. Bye. A couple days since I have picked up Key Lime Sky by Hess. I found this at Barnes and it's been a while. I mean, outside of the library or used bookstores where I've seen a book and I haven't heard anything about it. It wasn't recommended to me. I liked the cover and I was very intrigued. This is an alien invasion story. At the time I thought MM, but we'll get into the rep just shortly. And I love the illustrations in the beginning. So happy because this was like a $19 book. So I don't do that very often. I've got to know if somebody's read it. I'm always checking on Goodreads. I'm doing like the whole to-do when I'm shopping. And I actually kind of feel like I'm free to really browse and get into titles that I've never heard of that could be the next favorite when I'm at the library and a used bookstore. So I'm just happy it happened at Barnes in that day, and I'm happy that I continued reading. I wasn't expecting to get to like chapter 10. I'm 150 pages in. And we're following Denver. This does have autism representation. It's very queer. Denver is non-binary. There are other characters within this small town that has been invaded by aliens that have their own queer stories that I'm coming live to. And Denver is very frank and forward. In fact, in the beginning of this book, I wasn't really sure how I felt about how quirky they are. I really assumed that this is just going to be another offbeat character for the page and for the laughs and for the conundrum of it all. A character that just is splashy for the page. I really went in with that assumption because Denver will give it to you with their opinion. But it turned into an endearment for me, which is why I kept reading. I was just floored. So we meet Denver in a diner, small town over, with the worst cherry pie ever. And the world building is really bare bones, to be honest with you. This is situated in our world, but you know that it's the future because of the tech that Denver is using to upload onto their blog. And on the way back from the diner that houses the worst cherry pie Denver has ever tasted, they witness a UFO exploding over their hometown. And I really like situations where everything is amiss, things are not rightfully so, and all of the characters just behave as if everything's normal. Things are not normal. And Denver's astute eye and willingness to really just meddle in business that isn't their own is exactly what this town needs. The only person who even validates that something has happened is the hot bartender Ezra. And from there, this is very slow burn. I haven't gotten to a kiss. This is tension filled as Ezra is kind of learning Denver's trigger points and also how to be supportive while Denver utilizes the coping mechanisms that they have in light of everything that's happening. And it's actually quite funny. The quagmires of what's happening, like what the aliens are doing in this town, are wild. It's definitely forced proximity, definitely a mystery. And as I've said, it is a slow burn and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm having a fun time. So I just want to know what's going on. Like I have to know, which is why I continued. I am sitting here in front of piles of books though, because I need to switch over to an audiobook. And that audiobook is going to be Atmosphere, a love story by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have the audio, the physical copy hasn't come in the mail yet, and that's exactly what I need to scan in all of these books. I have gotten into a habit of, since I did one of my favorite videos that I've ever done on my channel, where I scan every book that I have, I do not like putting books onto my shelves unless they're scanned in. And I have been collecting books. I have gone through, this will be in a separate video, just like the in-depth process of me doing everything. But I think it's been 2 book signings, a couple holidays, and a birthday. And I just sit them here. I've gone through readathons. Like I've got Devil in Winter here. I've done the Wallflower, the halfway readathon. I have just read books and put them back. I have visited gifts that friends have sent me and I've just put them back. So it's time for me to scan everything in. I'm going to listen to Atmosphere while I do it. In the next video that's going to be up on my channel, I just want to spend time going through and talking about all of the books that I have not talked about. I didn't come out with the 2024 favorites. I haven't told you what favorites of the year so far have been. So it'll be fun to go through these stacks, but I have got to get them scanned in and get going. And I'm really excited about Atmosphere. I'm just, of the books that I have read by her since we're here with everything, and I think I already have it like pulled out here. I've only read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I enjoyed, and Daisy Jones and the Six. So I'm interested in seeing where this one falls in that. We'll see. So I'm very excited. It's a highly anticipated release for me. I love all things space. And now it's a habit. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I am back after some time. I guess I'm now matching Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I have read in its entirety, so we have much to discuss. Let me put my foolishness down, because there's just something about her books. This is the 3rd of hers, which I do think I omitted a novella that I read, which has the same quality, where I always feel like I can stop and Google her characters right after. They feel so incredibly real. And Atmosphere is no different in terms of it being very character driven. This is set in the 1980s. It is following Joan, who is a candidate for NASA's astronaut corps, which would make her be potentially one of the first women to go into space. And I loved the themes that were covered within this book. This spans across several years, where we get to witness her very complicated and messy familial dynamic. The theme of feminism is brought in with the sexism within this program. This is set in the 1980s, as well as her journey of self-discovery and queerness within this time period, all really done through flashbacks that inform a mission. That's all I'll say about that. But what I really liked about this book, her dialogue is just so sharp. The arguments specifically in this book just got me, because they're so realistic. And I'm also thinking about just the conversations that she has with her fellow female candidates when it comes to sexism. There's never once a claim made on the right way or the most advantageous way to approach all that they are buffeting. I thought that that was very well done. Even with her very tenuous relationship with her sister in this book, this was standout when it came to the characterizations, as well as her passion for science and why she studies the stars. The musings and meditations on how we fit in the cosmos, I thoroughly enjoyed, as well as all of the research done on this program. The ending of this book really got me the stakes. There are high stakes on this. I will say there are other relationships in terms of her cohort, the fellow candidates within this program, that fell short and pale in comparison to the one where the love story comes into the chat. And there are aspects of this romance I feel happened off page, but I was just on board for the ride with Joan. It reads like a character study. It reads like you could look it up on Google after that you could get in your research bag. And there's so many quotes in this, and there's so much research and information on space and within just humanity's endeavor to advance and to explore. I absolutely love that. As I've said, the ending of this is riveting. Oh my God, it got me because I knew that it said a love story, okay? And sometimes some of these, I'm just gonna say it, some of these other genres will have romantic elements, but I don't think that I ever truly bought into, I'm gonna get an HEA in this. Like, is there gonna be an HEA? Like, I'm not in a guaranteed bona fide romance. So I was on the edge of my seat at the ending of this book. And there were a few aspects where I felt a lull in the pacing simply because as a romance reader, I'm looking for certain nuances and certain beats and progression within the romance that I do feel like happened off page. However, I just felt like this was incredibly written. There were avenues that were traversed in terms of her familial dynamics that I wasn't expecting, but I thoroughly enjoyed when it came to child advocacy. There's just so many things. Also, the stakes on Joan coming live to who she is in this time period. As I've said, it's set in the 1980s. So I'm just gonna run through some quotes here because that's me. This is set in a time where the moral majority was campaigning again for Reagan. Anita Bryant had come through Houston just a handful of years ago to convince voters that people like Joan should not be allowed to be near children. A couple of years ago, Billie Jean King had come out and lost $2 million in endorsements overnight. At that very moment, people all over the country were convinced that AIDS was a punishment for moral failing. The stakes that went into the romance element of this job, which brought in just like a challenging point for me when it comes to what I don't like having to see main characters give up for an HEA. And I'm not saying that happens because I'm not giving out any spoilers. I'm just trying to hit the things that I really enjoyed in this book and capture the time period. And I am going to read you one of these just quotes for the love of science, the way in which Joan approaches her work and how that is attractive to not only her cohort, but within her romance, and also the different types of women that were in this book. It wasn't one note. This was incredibly well written. I'm thinking I'm trying to land on a rating here because it's not quite a full 5 stars for me because of some of the characters falling flat, although we did get enough to where when things were malfunctioning, my heart was there and it was in it. I'm only gonna give you one more quote and I will boot on to finishing Key Lime Sky because I haven't finished this book, so I need to get into the rest of this. I think I also want to pick up Plus Size Player because that also released on the 10th along with this, but I do want to close out with a little quote, with a little, maybe something existential, or how about romantic? I don't know. What was on the page was immensely felt. the sort of meet cute, slow burn sense of knowing. I really liked that. So maybe we'll end with that. I enjoyed that this is how she was seen. I look at you and you're so curious about everything. Not just about the planets and galaxies and the stars, but Earth and the people on it. That's what I admire. Jumping down, I'll continue to. Your commitment to the world around you. How much you care. You're so thoughtful about everything. Let the world be as I see it for just one night, without too many gray areas and caveats, where I know I'm mortal, but I'm not sure you're not a god? Panty dropper. And then her voice got barely above a whisper and she leaned in. Can you do that for me? Are you kidding me? Okay, anyway, so I got a lot from this. I really enjoyed this read. It was highly anticipated, and I'm so glad that I got to it. There's just so many things in here. Every atom in our body was out there. Once a part of them. To look at the night sky is to look at parts of who you once were, who you may be. I'll continue to geek out. I'm gonna let you go because I could do this all morning. And I must go make the bag. So I will pop in when I've actually finished Key Lime Sky, and maybe when I get through some of Plus Size Player. I'm not sure when this is gonna end or how I'm putting this together. This is probably chaotic viewing, but I'm glad you're here.
It is not 1:13 outside. Come on. I'm in Vegas. I'm in the car. I'm turning it off so you can hear me better. I'm also in the parking lot, so please forgive any outside noise. But I have updates. I don't have Key Lime Sky on me, so I'm going to throw it up. But I don't want too much time to pass before I give you what I got on my mind. I've also started Plus Size Player. So, oh my gosh. The quagmires of this alien invasion. It's very clever. It's very unique. And the nature of the alien invasion got me. What they are actually doing, how they are invading, I thoroughly enjoyed that, especially the wrap up. Think about how the world would truly respond if a small town in the States was invaded. How would the government try to contain it? What would the social response be? I really enjoyed that, as well as how it's bookended with how we meet Denver. My one thing about the action sequences, because they are there, is that I did have to go back and really try to discern in terms of spatially, like what was happening. All of the depictions of how the aliens looked, because we do get scenes where we're up close and personal with them. And we also get a sort of snapshot as to how different people would respond to this actually occurring. Like, I really had a fun time with this. The romance was so freaking sweet. And I think above all, what I thoroughly enjoyed, because I can't speak directly to the autism representation. I am not autistic. All I can tell you is that as a reader, I thoroughly appreciated getting introduced to what excites Denver, what makes Denver passionate, also irritable, and how I was endeared to Denver as a character before I found out that they were autistic. As well as the fact that it is stated within this book in a multitude of ways, but directly in dialogue as well, that Denver's, my bad, I'm in the car, that Denver's autism is not a superpower. I thoroughly appreciated that. And yet, the very thing that Denver believes that ostracizes them from the rest of their town, the self-proclaimed obnoxious observations, that very quality is what this alien invasion needs. I absolutely loved that. I loved that. The found family, and again, how this wrapped up. Their romance was just so sweet. So I'm very happy that I picked this up. All the more happy because this was $20 cold hard cash in Barnes. Okay, so I'm so happy that I loved this. It was 4 stars. I'm glad I got to it, especially in the month of June. I also got to Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. This is the second in the series after Curvy Girl Summer. I just feel like this is a summer read as well because Nina is just getting spoiled. It seems like she has the cheat code to dating. She's got a man for intellectual stimulation, fun and excitement, passion and romance, and a little bit of humor. She's upfront with all of them. She makes it very clear that she has a roster. And I also like how we fully get into her work. She is an influencer, a plus size fashion influencer, and we get into what her day-to-day looks like and why she's so passionate about representing plus size women within this space. Because I've seen a lot of characters that are influencers in books pop up lately, and I like how this really went into not only her day-to-day, but her passion about it, which I am enjoying. Also, she does have a favorite among the roster. Just so happens to be the one that's centered around fun and excitement. He might have other qualities, Russell Long. And I'm loving the way that she's getting spoiled. Also, the way that Danielle Allen is capturing the group chat with friends, her dialogue, the female friendship on the page. Like, I just feel like I'm back. This feels like the summer read, okay? And I can't wait to see how the dynamic shifts. Maybe Russell's going to elevate above the rest, which he already quite frankly is, but she just has to admit it to herself, so to speak. I can't wait. So I'm having such a good time with this. I'm so happy that it's finally out. Like I said, Curvy Girl Summer is the first book, but I feel like this is a summer read as well. So I'll be back when I finish and give you more thoughts on what's gonna happen. But oh my gosh, I'm melting now, but I had to come in and say hi. I'll see you soon.
It's taken me a while to get back to this reading vlog and finally give you my thoughts on Plus Size Player. I have started. I got abducted by aliens and now I'm trapped in a rom-com by Kimberly Lemming. I haven't finished it yet and I'm going to get to why. I don't know how it's felt watching, but it has been a little minute. I was debating on whether or not I was going to bridge my two hobbies together because I did go to MagicCon. If you're aware of Magic of the Gathering, MagicCon was here in Las Vegas this past weekend, and Final Fantasy is the newest set. So they had a bunch of what I hear people calling activations these days, which were just set pieces that you could step into. It was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. And I actually think I also bold-faced lied while I was there. I meant to give you an update. Okay, I meant to like cue you in to how I was feeling about Plus Size Player. As you can tell, I'm at MagicCon in Las Vegas and I do have a book update, but I'm just popping in to let you know I finished Plus Size Player. I'm just trying to figure out where to tell you about it, where it's like not loud. We're going to Game Nights Live. If you know, you know. My worlds are colliding, but I will be back with the last update to wrap up this vlog, but I'm having so much fun. I'm here now though. I'm here now to tell you that I do feel like the aspect that I really didn't want to reveal, but you're probably going to key into pretty quickly if you do decide to pick up Plus Size Player, is the forbidden element between them. Not really sang for me in this book. And I just love the tension between them. Also the will they, won't they. And I love sneaking around in mess. But more notably in this book, because she is a plus size influencer in the fashion space, I liked reading that perspective because I have seen a lot of influencer books. In fact, I'm just coming off of the heels of Julie Chan is Dead, which is a thriller. Highly recommend. Because this is a segue, I will just say that Dead Ringer, okay, 1964 featuring and starring the Betty Davis, is one of my favorite films of all time. And Julie Chan is Dead is really mirroring Dead Ringer for me, but with a culty twist. Okay, so coming off the heels of that, the sort of, I don't know, maybe even dark comedic tone within that book. I was really interested in seeing how Daniel Allen was going to depict an influencer. And so I was interested in those aspects, I think probably because I was coming out of that thriller. But the second half of this book is really where the meat was for me. It's very steamy. And what I appreciated about Plus Size Player was the third act. I'm so tired of being in third act conflicts that are internal between our main characters. Nina and Russell were buffeting external conflicts. Okay, they're forbidden dynamic, and I love how they chose each other and how he stepped up as a hero and made a freaking way. Like all of the reasons for why they couldn't be together and the stakes. Like I like the stakes in the situation that we were in. It was a risk for them to choose each other. And so I enjoyed that. And the mess and the sneaking around. Okay, I did. I really enjoyed that. I was there for it. Also because I found her to just be really relatable. This series is following mature heroines that are in their 30s. It feels like Nina has it all together in the beginning of this book. She's getting her needs met. Her mental is there. She's ascending in work. Yet when that one comes in, that's when things start to unravel for her in terms of weighing the pros and cons and cost. And I like that. So I had a good time with Plus Size Player, and I started to feel like, do I really embody my average rating? Like I typically rate books 4 stars, and I always like to think that's because I know how to pick the books that I know that I'm going to enjoy. Like if I'm really looking granular here, back at the books that we've talked about already, like Key Lime Sky on Goodreads would be 4 stars for me. I would rate this 3.75 just due to some of the logistics that I talked about that were hard for me to depict when it came to the action sequences. But overall, I'm happy that I picked up a book in the wild that I knew nothing about that piqued my interest and it hit, especially for Pride Month. And with Atmosphere, I kept going back and forth with how I wanted to rate this book because the ending of this book is a banger, although it's very abrupt. It was very abrupt. So I was just kind of like, oh. And a lot of the musings and the quotes and the aspects of familial love in this and where this actually went, I just enjoyed my reading experience and I was along for the ride. But I did have a few things, just primarily being a romance reader and wanting to see certain aspects on the page. And because this is very character driven, there were just a few things for me. So I think I am landing on a 4 for this. And I thought that was going to be the case with Kimberly Lemming, but I'm sitting here and I'm trying to like thug it out, and I wasn't expecting to have that feeling being in this book. I absolutely adore Kimberly Lemming and her humor. In a rom-com, that's important for me. I just stopped picking them up because if an author's brand of humor doesn't really land for me, then I'm probably going to pick up something a little like darker, maybe some heady dynamics. That's really what satiates me as a reader. And here, the humor is landing. Like this is Kimberly Lemming, okay? But at the same time, I'm not really falling in love with all of the characters like I have in the past. And I will say, without spoiling too much, yes, she gets abducted in the beginning of this book. And this is sort of a topsy-turvy mind melt of scenarios, one right after the other. And as hit with the comedy, like I've been saying, but it has an aspect of this in terms of the relationships, because this lion is not shifting. I kept waiting for it. The lion is not shifting, okay? Dory, okay? Nicknamed him Toto. It's absolutely hilarious. And, you know, we do have another horned hero here. I'm not sure on the dynamic between the heroes. I'm just not incredibly, I don't want to even say sold. I just haven't fallen in love with them as I have in her past books. And there is an aspect in this book that is very similar, without spoiling it, to, and I'm going to find the cover because I have it. Got it. There's an aspect within that time I got drunk and needed a love potion at a werewolf that I could thread into this book. And what it opens up here, where the heroine is unsure of the hero's true feelings. He keeps saying that she's his mate, and she believes it's because of the love potion, and he knows it is because of their bond. And it opens up and explores conversations of consent, even in all of the humor of Kimberly Lemming, and what I love about her just not taking herself so seriously, and the messaging that she kind of drives home without in a melodramatic way through that humor is what hits for me. Even in all of that, there are some really beautiful conversations centered around consent that are king in this book. And that sang for me here. And it's not really hitting so much so in this one when it comes to the dynamics between them, because these are two very different heroines that were not checking for love, okay, for their own reasons. And in here, I understand why she goes along with all the happenings, because she's just trying to problem solve, especially as a scientist, and survive and figure it out. But as I said, it's not hitting that much. I feel like I'm pushing. I've already picked up other books, so we'll see if I finish this in the next book I've started. After scanning all of my books, I have a full stack. I'm staring at it now. I'm shamefully still in the middle of Kennedy Ryan. Okay, Rewind It Back by Liz Tom Ford. When the Tides Held the Moon. I mean, there's a lot of books that I just have sitting there that I'm like halfway in, a couple chapters in. And in the case of Kennedy Ryan, I was just trying to savor it, and I still have like the third act to finish. So I'll probably add Kimberly Lemming to that TBR and just continue there. But I wanted to come and finally close this out. It's been a minute. Atmosphere released on the 10th. Okay, so I truly have to thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed the visuals. I hope you'll be back, because I know it's not you, it's me. I've started another reading vlog. We're getting into it. I have organized and scanned in my shelves. They're slow coming, but they're coming. So I do thank you for spending your afternoon, morning, evening, weekend, whenever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.